they're going to find out that we have really no clue what we're doing. And, you know, I don't know, some people say I'm critical of the internet, and I say nasty things sometimes about it, but your interviews, I really do enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I really enjoy it. You have a presence about you. You always have such an air of respect for the business, and your interview style is, I mean, it's professional, because there's a lot of people out there that do this stuff that it looks like, it's amateur hour, and it's all about the, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like it's all about like the slime aspect of our industry, or the dirt, or everybody just wants to, I don't know, it seems like they want to bury something, or they want some scoop or something like that. And I don't find that with you. I find that you have a genuine interest in the guest and where they come from and how they've got where they are, and that's my interest.
This is very high praise coming from you. You've done a lot of interviews before, so thank you. I think the thing for me is I'm just genuinely interested in my guest, and like whether they're a wrestler or they're an athlete or an actor or comedian, whatever, they got to where they're at for a reason. Right. And I want to reverse engineer back. Like, all right, you're here, and somebody listening's at step 1 or 2. How do we figure out how to get there? And there's something in that person's story that we can all learn from.
Right, that's a big thing. That's really what I love. I love people's story.
Yeah,
because people see on TV, okay, this person's doing this now, but they don't have any clue what it all took to get to that point.
Yeah, we just see the finished product, right?
You just see, and so everybody's an overnight success.
Yes,
and there is no such thing as an overnight success, other than maybe Matt.
I mean,
of course,
the coattails. Hanging.
When it comes to coattail riding,
you just gotta have a good grip. I mean, that's like
he's at the top of that show.
Bro, he was a natural.
I'm a natural
to him so easily.
Easy.
But no, it really.
And that's something that you and I brought up to Mark, or Mr. Undertaker. I apologize to the fans for calling you by your real name. But
demerit.
Ooh. When Mr. Undertaker and I, when I first brought this idea up to him, I said, this needs to be positive. We don't need to talk negative about other wrestlers. We don't need to talk negative about the industry, because I think there's a lot of that already happening.
There's enough of that already.
Yeah.
Wait, you told me that?
Yes.
You told me that.
I did.
Wait, I said it, and then you said it back to me.
No, I think CTE's real. I think we both said we don't want this to be a negative
podcast. That sounds a little better, because that was the one thing that I had no interest in, and it's just like, There's so many people that are so, I don't know if influential is the word, or just acceptable to, like, if I am negative about something that I see, or critical, however, there's the people are so, I don't know, they get so hurt sometimes about it that it's hard to dig out of that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to help grow the business and give people, a way, and show them maybe how I did it, or however somebody else, how you've become successful. I just didn't want to get into a situation, and that is something that we did agree on. It was just like, man, this is not going to be a smash fest, because
you've got to be hyper aware that whatever you say, good or bad, people are going to like that. That holds a lot of weight. So if you give a lot of praise to something or someone, they're like, Undertaker said this, and if you say one bad thing, that's going to be the only thing they hear.
Oh yeah, you could do a 2-hour a podcast, and 95% of it be positive, and me say one bad thing, or anybody say one bad thing, and that's all it is.
That's the headline.
It is the headline.
Yeah.
That's the clip. That's the thumbnail that everyone else is going to steal. And
that's what they hang on to,
and that's what they hang
run
on
with.
to.
And that's the part where that's the most frustrating part. Is like, you took something, you cut it up, and you're not even giving the full context of what he was talking about, or what the original question was, or any of that, right? Like, you pulled together a 30-second clip off of a 10-minute conversation, that
I've had times where people will be like, did you see that thing that whoever, Cody Rhodes, The Undertaker, whoever said? And I'm like, yeah, that was in my interview. Of course I saw it.
the guy last night in the restaurant did that. Yeah.
He goes, did you see Hulk Hogan talking about his Mount Rushmore? I'm like, that was my clip. What do you? Yes, of course I saw it.
You tuned him out. I would listen.
I'm the guy at the start of that clip. Yeah.
So yeah, it's I mean, this whole thing for us is definitely new, and it's a whole different, especially a whole different world for Taker. And I mean, for you, like, how did you get here? Like, what's your story in the sense of, like, did you grow up as a wrestling fan, and then how did you get into the world of doing interviews in the wrestling space, but also with actors and just celebrities in general?
And that's where it began, was like more actors and comedians and celebrities. But I fell in love with broadcasting when I was 4 years old. Got a Fisher-Price tape recorder and would pretend to be the radio DJs that I heard on the radio. And it seemed like such a long shot to try to get into radio or try to get into broadcasting, but that was my dream, that was my goal. And we had a communication studies class in high school, and I didn't realize this even existed, but we had a TV studio in our high school. That's where it kind of started for me. And then I ran for vice president of my student council just because they were the person that did the morning announcements. And I'm like, oh, I get to be in front of 2,000 people every single day, my own little radio show. That's where the whole thing began for me. And then when I had to apply to college, I'm like, I don't know, you're 17 years old trying to figure out the rest of your life.
Right.
That communication studies class was pretty fun. We'll just go apply, try to do communication studies. Who knows what that could turn into. I went to school, basically majored in drinking beer and hanging out with my friends.
Okay.
And
So our stories are a lot alike.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
I was a communication major for a year.
hey,
There you go.
I was communications before I went to sports management.
And look where it landed.
And
you.
look where it ended. And look where we ended up.
there's this clip on The Simpsons where the guy breaks his leg. He's a soccer player and he breaks his leg. And they're like, you can always fall back on your degree in communications. He's like, I know, it's a joke degree. I'm not saying it's a joke degree, but I had a moment in my senior year, because I had the best time in college, but I had a moment where we were going to graduate at the end of that year, in my senior year. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. The end of this year, we're going to graduate, and then we got to go work.
It gets real.
You know, the rest of our lives. And you don't get to decide if, like, I don't feel like going to class today, 10 a.m.'s too early. You got to go work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, no matter what. And in that exact moment, I reached out to every radio station and every TV station in my college town, and I just said, can I come in and volunteer and see how it's done in the real world? And that led to me getting a volunteer position, which led to me getting an internship, which, long story short, ended up me being on TV. The wrestling thing came later. I was always a wrestling fan. Aware of it growing up, the Attitude Era is what, like, really got me into wrestling. And I was so fortunate to work as an entertainment reporter and TV host, and you're interviewing actors and comedians and celebrities. And I remember I was hosting a show for MTV2 Canada in Vancouver, because I'm from Canada. And WWE was coming to town, and I asked my boss, I said, could we interview a wrestler? And they're like, yeah, sure, we do that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get paid to talk to a wrestler? Like, this is crazy. And it was Bobby Lashley who came through. And I feel like he looks the exact same today.
He does.
As he did back then.
The black don't crack, man.
Bro, it don't.
Bobby he's a freak of nature.
It's insane. That was 17 years ago when I did that. And I just started realizing that if I posted these interviews where, you know, I would talk to wrestlers about, of course, WWE or TNA's in town, but then I would ask questions I genuinely wanted to know the answer to. And I'm like, it sucks that with the way broadcasting works, you're only going to see this if you're tuned into Channel 7 at exactly 4:15 today on this Thursday. I'm like, I'm going to take these interviews and just put them on YouTube. Someone who's a wrestling fan is going to enjoy these. And those started getting some traction. And that's when things really started taking off, is me going, what if I were to go out of my way? You know, and there's an indie promotion in town that's bringing in somebody we've heard of. What if I could go out of my way to get that interview? Or what if I could drive 2 hours to do this interview? What if I could, you know, fly somewhere just because someone said, yes, I'll do an interview? That's when things really started taking off. But I've always loved wrestling. I wanted to be a wrestler.